Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Short man charged with murder of his stepson. 33-year-old Marco Dakers, otherwise called Short Man, a former of Blight's district, Kidsontown in St. Catherine, has been charged with the murder of his stepson, 24-year-old Sean Winter, following an incident at their home. Reports are that on Thursday, August 12, about 9 p.m., both men had an argument which developed into a fight. Reports are that Winter reported to use a shovel to hit Short Man, after which it is alleged that Short Man used a knife to stab Winter in the chest. Winter was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The accused man later turned himself into the police, where he gave a caution statement and an interview was conducted. He was subsequently charged. His court date is being finalized. We are terrified. We are very terrified. We are very nervous. We are very concerned, said President of the Negril Chamber of Commerce Richard Wallace yesterday. He was reacting to the deaths of 3 gas station owners in the parish who succumbed to COVID-19 within the last week. According to the latest data from the Health Ministry, between August 20 and 21, there were 109 cases and 4 COVID-related deaths in Westmoreland, all women between 68 and 83 years old. The deaths that have most rattled the chambers are those of people they have known for years. A week ago, Marcia, the co-worker and copper operator of Mipmar Trader, who includes a service station in Little London, lost her life to the deadly virus. Her husband Mike died 3 days ago. Then yesterday morning, Licia Samuels, owner of Ruby Station in Savannah Lamar and Negril, died. To see so much sickness and death, and to see our health system in the way that it is very terrifying. We have to be strong, we have to be smart, and we have to be wise at this time and do what is necessary to get through this, he urged. What we need is cooperation of everyone. Everyone out there needs to cooperate and let us work as a community to get rid of this. If some are doing this and some are doing that, it is making it harder for everyone. He is urging everyone to get vaccinated. So too is the president of the Westmoreland Chambers of Commerce and Industry, who also have been left reeling from the death of his close friends Marcia and Mike. He expressed concern that the parish has been losing prominent business people who have been contributing to its development. When we see some of the major business people who provided employment and support in many community activities, good corporate citizens, going out like that, it makes us even sadder, he stated, noting that the couple were good people who had left behind children. There were rumors circulating on social media that the couple's son Marco had attended the controversial staging of Dream Weekend in Negril 2 weeks ago and had contracted the virus. The young man, in a sharply worded reply to the post, said he had been out of the country for the last 6 months. Imagine waking up to see this with all that's happening. I'm trying really hard to keep my cool because that's what my parents would have wanted. So once again, I'm using this platform to ask persons that don't know things to shut up and stop with all these false news, he stated. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton and Prime Minister Andrew Holness seek to answer the question why they did not stop Dream Weekend.
I'm asking you if you can say why a recommendation was not made to shut down the party after it was recognized on day 1 that all the rules were not being obeyed in respect of COVID protocol.
Right. So you've asked a loaded question. For starters, you have assumed that all the rules were not being obeyed. I don't know that. I haven't seen a report that that was the case. I am not saying they were or were not. You know, the truth is there is an assumption from public health's perspective anyway that it is difficult to enforce in totality rules of engagement where you have excess numbers or numbers beyond a certain point, where you have alcohol involved and you know, the spirit of one form or the other. And frankly speaking, it would always have been difficult. And I'm being very frank in saying so. It's not an easy, it would not have been an easy challenge. A lot would have depended on the organizers to put protocols in place, and pre-event, those protocols or infrastructure would have been examined and comments made. if they needed to be strengthened or improved. And then the monitoring would serve also to advise during event if things were happening that were untoward. But the truth is, Damien, we don't have the personnel to provide that level of close scrutiny and monitoring in these circumstances. And I want to say something else because, you know, I hold no brief for Dream Weekend. I mean, I wasn't there, and you know, obviously it has a big following. It's a strong brand, and under normal circumstances, they do well, and credit to the creativity of those who have created this concept. But the reality is that there were many other events that were not as strong in terms of the brand, but took place during a period of relaxation that would have been impossible to enforce or to oversee, because you don't have enough policemen to do it. You don't have enough, you know, persons working with local government who are out looking at these events and many are without permits, so you don't even know that they are taking place until after the fact. I believe Minister Mackenzie gave a percentage of what they found to be in compliance, and these were the events that had permits, and there were several, I'm sure, that did not have. So the point I'm making is there is always a very great risk when you have this environment for persons to not comply, and you depend on compliance, self-monitoring and self-compliance, because you can't enforce.
Your health minister has conceded that there were inadequate personnel to monitor the Dream Weekend party series in a parish that had been recording the highest rate of infections. Why then was a permit granted for the Dream Weekend party series?
So I didn't hear Minister Tufton's statement on that, but I take what you have said. You will recall that when the call, almost a national call, chorus for the reopening of events, not just entertainment, because it's not just parties that happen, it was events. So that national choir for the reopening of the economy that sang very loudly, that from all quarters was a loud choir with many participants. Of course, a lot of them are silent now. However, in keeping with our policy and principle that once we give approvals, which we did for a period starting, I believe it was the 1st of July, was it, remind me, Minister, 1st of July to the 10th of August. And during that period of time, we approved a certain number of events. I want to be clear because I've seen someone who should know better saying that, you know, we are catering for the big man. That's why we gave approval for large events, not acknowledging the fact that we gave approvals as well for small events. And those events, we routinely monitor them, and I know from the report that Minister Mackenzie would have given that there were over 800 small events with 100 persons or less, over 800. We had how many large events? 20 were approved. And so once we gave that period that we were approving small and large events and the approvals were granted, we thought it best not to withdraw the approvals. However, you will acknowledge, Damien, that we reduced the parameters in which they could operate, meaning that the curfews were set at 11 o'clock. We reduced them right down to, I believe, 7, and on weekends they went down to 3 or 2 o'clock. I think it was 3 o'clock. So we did reduce the parameters in which they could operate without withdrawing the approvals that we had given, because then you would have the exposure of people putting out significant outlay of capital and so forth. So we had to bear all kinds of those considerations. So we did put in place the measures to restrict the events, reduce the numbers. As I said, I can't comment on what Minister Tufton said. I didn't hear Minister Tufton's statement, but I do know that there was monitoring because we received the reports about and Minister Mackenzie as well would have given some reports about the adherence to protocols, etc. So, you know, we did not pull the plug on any of the events that we approved. Some, however, did not go ahead because the reduction in the operating parameters would not have made it feasible. So the government took actions to protect the public by reducing the operating parameters.
Over 115,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccine arrived in Jamaica. Jamaica on Monday night received 115,200 doses of the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. In a tweet on Monday night, the ministry said that the doses were purchased by the government of Jamaica through the African Medical Supplies Platform and transported to the island by UCF. It is the first of 2 shipments of the single-dose vaccine expected from the AMSP this month and totaling more than 200,000 doses, the ministry wrote. We express appreciation to the chair of the AMSP and his team who delivered the vision of President in establishing this new COVID response mechanism from the African contingent and including access for CARICOM countries, the ministry added. Earlier on Monday, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton in a tweet revealed that the Johnson & Johnson vaccines were expected to arrive later in the day, with Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith also confirming arrival of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Jamaica's inoculation drive has been aided in recent weeks with the arrival of hundreds of thousands of different brands of the vaccine. Last month, the United Kingdom donated 300,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines, while over 208,000 doses of Pfizer vaccines were donated by the United States last week. The donation of the latter has resulted in vaccination of children 12 years and older, a move that is expected to lead to the reopening of face-to-face classes later in this school year. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.